Welcome, YouTube. My name is Drahan, Master of Boundaries, and I am online. Today is a very special series I'd like to call Theory Break. In Theory Break, I take theories from across the internet from many different fandoms. Fandoms? That's what they're called? What does that stand for? Fan Kingdom? Yeah, I think that's right. Anyways, from many different fandoms, I take certain theories that I find, well, incorrect. Ranging from sort of possible to why in the world did you even think of this kind of theory? And this is one of those plausible ones, but a few things have been left out. This is the entire Pokemon timeline theory. Many YouTubers have gone over this theory in the past, such as Dobbs, Logston, and a few others, like Birdkeeper Toby, for example. He actually has a plausible theory that I have actually been commenting on, and I have been chatting with a couple other YouTubers. And I think we finally reached an agreement, I am not totally sure. But it's about Red's age in Sun and Moon. And also on Ash. The theory in question from Birdkeeper Toby is Ash still 10? Well, Toby actually had a good point in his video, and I wish I'd be able to, let's see, what is it called? Collaboration? I'll say collaboration, because, old-fashioned, I should say. But anyways, for the Pokemon timeline, I get to do a lot of research on putting this together. But I'm only going to be featuring this first segment from Ash and his journey's end to Red. Now, there have been some assumptions on the relationship between Ash and Red. One being that they are the same person, but they're from alternate universes. This one is most definitely wrong, and I will be explaining why in this video. Another assumption, this one is most recent, is that Red is the son of Ash and Serena. Oh, how I'm going to love destroying that. As great as the artwork was for X and Y, and I really did like Ash's character for most of the series, as far as I was able to watch, there were characters that I did not like, and there are definitely Pokemon I did not enjoy looking at. And, yeah, I will explain a little bit more in another video, and probably even explain in the comment section. But Serena is by far, the worst female companion of Ash. It's just because of how annoying she is. Get a life. And she does, in the games. Another assumption is that the games, anime, and manga, or manga, as some people would like to pronounce it, are separate universes. Now, this is somewhat true, like, for example, the Ash in the Electric Tail of Pikachu is a different Ash from the one we know from the anime. And as Birdkeeper Toby suggested, the Ash in the original anime, and most likely seasons 3 and 4, if I remember the video correctly, I'll have to go back over that. They are the same Ash compared to the Ash in 5 and 6, who is also different from the one in 7. But I believe we're just going to be focusing on what Birdkeeper Toby refers to as Ash A. Most of my research was done and posted on the site fanfiction.net. And this is the link to that page. And due to the site's rules of having me needing to write a story, I did that, so you're going to be seeing a little bit of fanfiction mixed in with my research. But not to worry, that is just for kicks and giggles. Plus, I was planning on doing a fanfiction anyway for Pokemon, but not this one in particular. This one is called The Calm Before, and I don't exactly want to... I don't want to force you to read this, but if you want to, just to get ahead of what I'm going to be covering in these videos, I do encourage that. Anyway, let's continue. Ash's journey. At least his end, anyway. As we all know, Ash is 10 in the anime. And Ash will eventually come home. As suggested in Birdkeeper Toby, certain Ashes have indeed come home, and most likely have ended their journey. Now, when Ash turns 11, that is not certain, but I do plan on making a video covering this. Now, according to many sources, there's only going to be 2 generations of Pokemon. That would be Ash in Season 1 and Season 2. Well, I guess you can call it Season 4, I guess. It was the Johto Journeys. That was going to be Ash's end. But he does continue, which actually complicates the timeline and causes a few more alternate universes to be created, which are the games of Generations 3 through 7. As Birdkeeper Toby has covered, these Ashes may be different. I will put a link to that video in the description. And I would actually enjoy if Birdkeeper Toby could indeed help me with the next video. If you're watching this, I would like to contact you in some way. Actually, I wouldn't mind if, say, Loxton. Now that would make for an interesting set of videos. His theory on the Pokemon franchise ending was pretty close, but not exact. I just loved watching it, though. It was amusing. Let's continue. Alright, the first thing I want to do is point out character comparisons. This was actually one point that I did input into my, I'm going to call it a paper. I don't want to call it a fanfiction, because it's mostly just research. But in that paper, I pointed out that The proof for Red coming after Ash is supported by the character comparisons of the anime and the games. The first one I want to point out is Professor Oak. In the anime, his hair, well, according to this picture, it's kind of gray, but it almost looks like it has brown mixed in with it. So I'm going to say somewhat brown. And in the games, it is completely silver. A silvery gray color. Now, another thing I want to point out is Professor Oak's laboratory. In the anime, it was on a very large hill. Now, those of you who know of Generation 1 and have watched it, and as well as Generation 2, including the first movies, first 2 to 3 movies, we know that Professor Oak's lab is on a hill, and according to the second movie, he actually rides a bike. Yeah! An old man is riding his bike to get to his lab. That's not good. As great as it is that he's getting his cardio, it's almost impossible. He might be in shape, but his old age will start to cause him to, well, does bring some complications to his normal routine. And that is why his lab is now in the center of Pallet Town, or right next to Red's house if we're going by the games. I am using Origins as part of my example because it actually does help a little in my research. Excuse me. Next character is one of my favorites, Misty. Misty's one of my favorite characters because of the anime. She was independent, strong, and for a very young age, too, for 10. Even I have to admit, you have to have real skills to be as bold as Misty. I'd have to say that Misty, if things played out after the original anime, Misty could have even, if they did do something for that, it would probably be with Misty being married at some point. But as the games are concerned, Misty does have a boyfriend. A boyfriend that we don't know the name of. We don't know his identity. I will be covering that in the next video. But back to comparison. Misty in the anime has orange hair. In the games, her hair is orange. The color is a little off in a couple of pictures. And this picture right here that I have next to Misty from the Mastermind movie has orange-ish brown. It's still orange, so I'm going to count it as orange. And according to the game, her nickname is the Tomboyish Mermaid. Now, for those of you who have watched the Generation 1 anime, we know of an episode where Misty played the role of a mermaid in one of her sister's plays. That was a pretty good episode, and it actually ties in with this as well. This theory break. Let's continue with our next character, Brock. Brock from the anime and the Origins anime, standing side by side. Now, the Brock in the games is about the same as the Brock in the anime, until we get to the Generation 2 games. Once we get there, it looks more like the Origins Brock. But that doesn't mean that Brock hasn't at least aged a little bit. Brock's not really a good example for my character comparison, but I put him in here just because of the origins. Now, this one would actually tie this timeline together because of the way he looks in the games and in the anime. In the anime, Blaine, Gym Leader Blaine, the 7th gym leader you must face in the games, as well as the 7th gym leader that Ash has faced. As we see here in this picture down at the bottom right hand corner, Blaine has hair on his head. Of course, he is somewhat bald, but he has hair. He does not have a mustache, though, and no glasses. If we go over to the sprites and to this picture above the anime's picture, we have Blaine with a mustache and no hair on his head. And the mustache is white. A white mustache. That practically ties this up pretty well. But there is more evidence that I'm able to put. Much like canon ships, you have to have more than one piece of evidence in order to prove them as a fact. And don't get me started with those disgusting pairings. You want me to cover those? I will do it in another video. Now, to the biggest part here. Ash and Red. This is important. For those of you who are wearing headphones, I have to apologize right now. I have my mouth right on the microphone. I think. I might be going in a different direction. But anyways, this is important. Open your ears and do not let this go through your head and out the other ear. Now, Ash and Red are two totally different people. Red's Japanese name is Red. Ash's Japanese name is Satoshi. Two totally different people. Now, this next part is going off of Proto Mario's video of why Blue does not have his Blastoise in the Sun and Moon games. I will leave a link of that video in the description. But basically, Proto says that the canon Red is from Pokemon Yellow. So his starter is a Pikachu. But, according to the games, Red was supposed to acquire an Eevee in Pokemon Yellow, until Blue got his hands on it. Ash wanted one of the actual starter Pokemon, Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur. I believe it was Charmander was going to be his top pick. But instead, he was late and got a Pikachu. Now, it doesn't say when Oak got this Pikachu, but it does say when Oak got Red's Pikachu. And it was recently. Now, next point. Red is not Ash. Again, sorry about that. Take a look at Red's artwork. This is the leftmost artwork. We have Red with a red hat with a gold pen on it. And we also have him with a red jacket and a brown backpack. Ash's backpack is green. Oh, also, if you look at Red's artwork, where the heck are his gloves if he is Ash? Every incarnation of Ash has a set of gloves, as you can see with these 5. Now, I would go into more detail about Red and Ash's differences, but I think it's pretty obvious from that. Now, for the biggest part, Pallet Town. Drum roll. Okay, so, as I explained in my paper, the Pallet Town in Origins and the games are different from the one in the anime. In the anime, the houses are more spread out, and there are barely any to speak of. In the Origins anime, we have almost a very small city, a large town, very populated. Now, there could be some theories about why it got so populated from Ash's time, such as, I don't know, Ash being the savior of the world, and people wanting to have a lame claim to fame, but that's just a theory. What could be more realistic is that more trainers want to be closer to Professor Oak's lab, so they can get their starter Pokemon and be on their journey as quickly as possible. And, as mentioned before, Oak's lab was on a rather large hill in the anime, and in the games, it is rather close, which actually helps support this. That would mean after age has taken its toll on Professor Oak, he decided that he needed to be closer to town. So that's what he did. He got a new lab and put it rather close to town. Oddly enough, close to Red in the games. But it's also close to his home. Next, we have Team Rocket. This is actually one of the most supporting pieces of evidence I could find. Team Rocket in the anime has yet to be taken down. Even if we were to go as far as Johto Journeys, Team Rocket is still around. Also, Giovanni can be compared in the same manner as I did Misty, Brock, Oak, and Blaine. Plus, as we know in the games, Generation 2, the Celebi event for Heart Gold and Soul Silver, we know that Giovanni is the father of Gold's rival, Silver. Now, there is no mention of a wife or child in the main anime, which actually makes perfect sense. If you all remembered in the Generation 2 games, Lance was pretty aggressive in trying to take down Team Rocket. Imagine what would happen if Silver was known as Giovanni's father. Then Lance would try to hunt down Silver and most likely torture him in order to get Giovanni out of hiding. This was smart on Giovanni's part. not telling anybody about having a family. Now, according to the games, Giovanni is the gym leader of Viridian Gym, which is true in the first generation of the anime. However, Agatha took over during the second generation. This is the only thing that kind of hurts my theory break and would mend it back together. If not for one piece of evidence. Agatha is now a part of the Elite Four as far as the games are concerned, which makes as much sense as Oak moving his lab. Agatha would have been so good as a gym leader that the Elite Four decided to recruit her as a part of the Elite Four. Giovanni would have come back later then and reclaimed his gym. And this time he makes sure not to have any of his Rocket members take a hold of his gym for while he is on business. And Giovanni is still Team Rocket's leader in the anime and in the games. And once Red does defeat Giovanni, Giovanni disbands Team Rocket. This works well for this theory break, because we know that after this, Giovanni does disappear, leading into Generation 2. Now that is all the time I have for part 1 of this timeline. This is a segment that goes into Ash and then into Red. Next, we are going to be going over Gold's journey, or Ethan, if you would prefer. And I will explain the timeline even further and how the games come after the anime. And while I am preparing that, I want you to answer this question for me, viewers. What character does Misty know that has black hair? Again, black hair. I will be answering this in the next video. If you want more theories broken like this, leave a comment down below and request a theory that I should break. Who knows? I just might break another YouTuber's theory. A certain YouTuber that is well known for creating the most outrageous of theories. Most spectacular theories. Until next time, this has been Drehan, and I am offline.